With the release of the Messiah Stride deck set comes a new meta contender. But just how good is this deck? Is this deck better than Chronojet? Let's go over all the new cards in this set and provide you with a deck list and some cards to consider when upgrading this deck. Starting with the right line, we have a Sleep Messiah. Auto, when this unit is placed by riding from Neon Messiah, draw a card and you get an Alter Ego Messiah Crest. This is exactly the same as Mazer Gear Dragon in the Chronojet deck set. Nothing really more to say here other than having this card in the right deck is mandatory as it is the only way to access a Crest. Speaking about the Crest, let's take a look at it now. Continuous, you can perform Stride and cannot ride grade 3 or greater cards without Messiah in their card names. The original power of your grade 3 cards with Messiah in their card name becomes 13,000. During your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, all of your front row units get power plus 5k for each face-up card in your G-zone. Auto, at the end of your turn, unlock all of your opponent's locked cards and bind those units. Same as Chronojet, for every face-up card in our G-zone, we get a 5k boost to our front row to cover for the fact that there is no Persona riding with Alter Ego Messiah. If we look at the second time we stride as the first time we Persona ride, assuming we are going second, we may be able to achieve plus 15k to our front row, which means that it is a better version of Persona riding already. Moreover, the more times we stride, the more power we give to our front row, and this is why these stride decks are so powerful. Next up is a Waking Messiah. Auto in the Soul, when a grade 4 with Messiah in its card name is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may call this card to Rearguard Circle. If you call the card, Soul Charge 1. Auto, when this unit is unlocked during your turn, choose one of your units in the same column as this unit and it gets power plus 10k until end of turn. The way I view this card is a continuous effect that works in the back row. Because this card can be called out from Soul the first time we stride, we guarantee to use this effect at least once before our opponent retires it. For now, I don't see the point in running more copies of this card in the main deck as we can't guarantee that we will soul charge this card. And drawing multiple copies of this card is pretty bad as it does not lock itself. Now we get to Alter Ego Messiah. Auto Vanguard Circle Generation Break 2, it's active if you have 2 or more face-up G units in total on your Vanguard Circle or G-zone. When any locked cards is unlocked, cost Soul plus 1 and draw a card. Auto Vanguard Circle, when you G unit strides during your turn, cost CB1 and lock a rearguard. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards, lock it, and choose one of your vanguards, and it gets power plus 5k until end of turn. We need to fuel our soul in order to draw multiple cards during the end phase. In an ideal scenario, when we stride, we will call a Waking Messiah to the back row. Then using Alter Ego Messiah skill, we will lock it as well as an opponent's unit. Then when we unlock it later using either of our G unit's skill, it will provide power to the unit in front of it. The first skill where we get to draw a card for a locked card can be used multiple times. For example, if we unlock 3 cards during the end phase, our opponents included, we can Soul Blast 3 to draw 3. Let's talk about the strides next. First up is Genesis Dragon Amnesty Messiah. Stride, Stride Step, cost choose one or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from your hand and discard them, and stride this card on your Vanguard Circle from face down. Auto Vanguard Circle, when this unit attacks, cost CB1 and turn a card from your G-zone face up. Choose any number of yours and your opponent's locked cards and unlock them. Choose one of your rear guards and it gets power plus 5k until end of the turn for each card unlocked with this ability. This will be the first stride we go into every game because the other stride requires GB2 to activate. This card allows us to attack 5 times in a turn, given that both our rear guards and the front row can lock itself. Next, we have Genesis Dragon Exilux Messiah. Stride, Stride Step, cost, discard a grade 3 card with Messiah in its card name from your hand, and stride this card on your Vanguard Circle from face down. Auto Vanguard Circle Generation Break 2. When this unit attacks, cost CB1, choose any number of any player's locked cards and unlock them. If you unlock the card, choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of cards unlocked by this ability, stand them. And until end of turn, all of your front row units get power plus 10k and this unit gets critical plus 1. This card also allows us to attack 5 times in the turn, but different from Amnesty, we don't need to have both our front row rear guards locked. As long as we have one locked as well as another lock from Alter Ego Messiah's skill, such as locking a Waking, Exilux lets us restand 2 rear guards to attack again. This card puts on more pressure than Amnesty because of the extra crit. The power to the front row is nice, but keep in mind that Exilux does not flip a G unit. Therefore, the 10k buff does not plus as much as we think it does, but rather making up for the fact that we are not getting more out of the crest. Unlike Chrono Dragon next stage, this doesn't really feel like a finisher, but rather just a different way to accomplish 5 attacks. There's no guard restrict on Exilux nor Amnesty, and there isn't a second way to lock our opponent's unit. Honestly, it does feel like Messiah was toned down a little after how dominant Chronojet became. Now let's look at Arrestor Messiah. Auto Rigor Circle Generation Break 1. When this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Messiah on its card name, this unit gets power plus 5k until end of that battle. And at the end of the battle, lock this unit. This is one of the units in the deck that self-locks, allowing it to be unlocked with either G unit's skill to attack again. Note that the 5k does not stack, so it will be a 15k attacker on both swings. Then let's talk about Kalizar Climb. Continuous Rigor Circle, during your turn, if any player has a locked card, this unit gets power plus 5k. Auto Rigor Circle, at the end of the battle this unit attacked, if you have an Alter Ego Messiah Crest, cost, retire this unit, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 unit card with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard from among them. Put it on and open Rigor Circle as a locked card, and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. In order for it to gain an extra 5k, we need to have either use Alter Ego Messiah's skill or have attack with Arrestor Messiah first. The second skill of the card is what really matters. Although top 3 is pretty limited, even calling a trigger can be alright, as it gets the power from the Crest, or gaining more attacks with an Amnesty Messiah's skill. Sacrifice Messiah is the countercharger we got for the deck. Auto Rigor Circle Generation Break 1. At the end of the battle this unit boosted, if you have a Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, cost, lock this unit, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets power plus 5k until end of turn. Then, if you have no face-up cards in your damage zone, countercharge 1. The countercharge is nice, as we can countercharge up to 2 times in a turn. Let's say that we only have 1 face-up card in the damage zone. When we stride, we can use Alter Ego Messiah's skill first. Then when we attack with the column that has Sacrifice Messiah, we can countercharge. We can use that CB for either G unit's effect to unlock this card. Then, after we attack with this column again, we can CC again, but the skill that suits better for the deck is that it locks itself, providing us with additional ways to restand units with Excess Messiah, and more cards to draw when we unlock at the end of the turn. All of the cards that I just mentioned makes up the core, or the main cards that allow the deck to function. An ideal scenario will look something like this. When we stride for the first time, we call Awakening Messiah to a back row circle. Then Alter Ego Messiah will lock Awakening Messiah. After that, we can call 2 copies of either Kalizar Klein or Arrestor Messiah, or one of each. Let's assume for this example we have 2 Arrestors in the front row. If we can put a Sacrifice at the back, that would be even better. We swing with our rears first. Arrestor will lock itself, then going to the other rear column, Arrestor and Sacrifice will lock themselves. We then swing with Vanguard, which will unlock everything and allow us to attack with our rears again. Awakening will give power to the unit in front of it because it unlocked. Then we can swing with Arrestor, Arrestor will lock itself, swing with the other column, and those rears will lock themselves again. And in this example, because there are no face-up cards in the damage zone, Sacrifice Messiah will allow us to countercharge 1. At the end of turn, everything will unlock and we draw according to the number of units we and our opponents unlocked for each Soul Blast we pay. In this example, we can draw up to 4 because 3 of our units unlocked as well as 1 of our opponents. Going over the rest of the new cards, we have Destiny Dealer. Continuous from hand, while you are paying the cost for stride, this card may be discarded as a grade 3. Act from hand, if you have an Alter Ego Messiah Crest, cost, discard, search your deck or drop for up to 1 grade 3 card with Messiah on its card name, reveal it and put it into your hand. And if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. This is essentially Steambrush Dragon. We get the choice whether we want to keep this card or discard it to find an Alter Ego Messiah in order to go into Excellence Messiah. Nothing more to say here. Herbig Claw is the card that provides us additional soul in this deck. Continuous Guardian Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Messiah in its card name, this unit gets shield plus 5k. Auto Rigor Circle, when your other unit is unlocked, you may put this unit into your soul. I don't think this card is that impressive. Recall the board that I showed you earlier. This leaves Herbig Claw to be called in the center back row circle. Does an 8k boost to our already gigantic Vanguard really matter that much? Also, the 10k shield doesn't do much for us as we're trying to soul charge this for more cards. The only way this will stick in our hand is if we have multiples of this card or we drew it from Alter Ego's Messiah skill. With that said, I suggest running Go Ahead Pikani. This card provides us with 2 soul instead of 1 and it doesn't take up a rearguard space. The last new card to talk about is Astrolabe Dragon. Continuous Rearguard Circle, Generation Break 2. During your turn, if any player has a locked card, this unit gets power plus 10k. Auto, when this card is discarded from hand for the cost of stride, draw a card. This card reads pretty much the same as Theme Fighter Bally. They both draw us a card when discarded for the stride, and they both get power plus 10k when a certain condition is met. However, these are not the same. In the Chronojet stride set, We had Smoke Gear Dragon, where we can instantly pick up Valley to be discarded. It decked Finn and drew us a card at the same time. This deck does not have a Smoke Gear. This card can't be searched and it doesn't lock itself either. In Chronojet, most of the times we don't even use Valley as an attacker, so we're relying on hard drawing this or finding it with Kalizar Klein's ability. There isn't a power play equivalent to Swirler GG and Messiah. We're relying on knowing the game state and not committing too much before striding in order to stay alive. We also have to keep in mind of Grade 2 gaming. If they choose to not ride a Grade 3, this deck essentially does nothing and we are stuck only hitting 3 times with minimal numbers. It was actually pretty difficult to find cards to upgrade this deck with, as the majority of cards in Rank 8 rely on having set orders in the order zone, and it isn't worth it in this deck to run those just to make some generic cards work. Apart from Go Ahead Mikani, a card that I thought would be great in this deck is Aurora Battle Princess Taser Lage. While this card doesn't solve our issue of having a weak early game, I like this card mainly because it's really good into EVA, as the obstacle die they call during the battle phase will be rested. There are a lot of applications where this card can be useful. Another card that we can use is Galactic Hero Platinsufi. This can slow down our opponent's aggression in the earlier turns by cleaning their board. However, this card is not as great late game as it doesn't hit for great numbers and it's a hassle to discard this plus another card to pay for the cost of stride. And here's a simple deck list. This deck is very piece reliant and requires a lot of careful planning as to how we can survive the earlier turns. Astrolabe Dragon is our flex spot depending on what the meta looks like. For now, you can't really go wrong with a 23k attacker that can be discarded for the cost of stride and draws us a card. Alter Ego Messiah is very important as in some cases where we can't find enough Arresters or Kalizar Klein, we want to go into X-Lix to still achieve 5 attacks. In the worst case, we can just ride another Alter Ego Messiah for the soul to exchange it for another card during the end phase. If I had to rate this deck, I think it's competitive viable, but there are definitely better decks to bring. Keep in mind that you do get into the range of decking out very often, so planning your later turns is very important. Do you think I rated this deck correctly? What other cards do you think can be included in this deck to make it more competitively viable? Let me know below and I'll see you all in the next video.